Hey everybody, welcome back and welcome to episode 1 of the Crossbow 101 series. The purpose of this series, guys, is I want to take a step back from some of my other crossbow videos and I want to just kind of get back to the basics. And this series is really going to be catered toward all you new crossbow hunters and crossbow shooters out there, but I hope that you seasoned vets also can find some information useful from this series. So the first topic is going to be crossbow designs. And the reason I want to go through different crossbow designs, their benefits, their drawbacks, and ultimately how you can choose a crossbow is basically because I get the question all the time, what crossbow should I buy? So instead of just pointing you guys toward a specific brand or a specific model, I really want to highlight at a high level the different crossbow designs, the benefits and drawbacks of each to help you make that decision for yourself. We're going to touch on 6 different crossbow designs, or at least that's how I've bucketed the designs out there in the crossbow industry. So we're going to start with the recurve. Next, we're going to go to what I call the traditional compound. Then reverse cam. Next, reverse limbs and cam. The bullpup design, and then a bucket that I just call unique because these crossbows and the unique bucket really do have some features and things going on with them that are very unique compared to the other 5 buckets of crossbows. First up is a recurve crossbow. This is the most tried and true design that there is. You've got premium brands like Excalibur that have built their entire reputation, their entire portfolio around the recurve crossbow design. There's some other players out there as well, like Barnett, that offers the Black Cat in a recurve crossbow. Guys, really the biggest advantage of a recurve is simplicity. It does not get more simple than a recurve crossbow. You've got a limbs, a string, a stock, and a trigger box assembly. That's it. So with simplicity oftentimes comes reliability in that you just have less moving parts. Another big advantage to a recurve crossbow is you can service them yourself. You don't need a bow press to change your string or your limbs out. If something were to happen, it's very easy to service. Now, the disadvantages come in efficiency, at least when you compare them to compound crossbows. Recurves require a high draw weight and a long power stroke to generate speeds even kind of semi comparable to what compounds can now. And granted, there's nothing wrong with the speeds that recurves can generate. It's just it's not as high because you don't have the mechanical advantage that a compound does. Another thing is that recurve crossbows are wide. Their limbs are often much wider than a compound crossbow. All right, guys, next up is the traditional compound bucket. And this is just like, traditional archery, moving from a recurve bow to a compound bow. Traditional compound crossbows offer a mechanical advantage using a cam system to generate more speed, more power, in a more condensed platform. Now, the biggest advantage to this, you guys, is this is the most popular. I mean, this is literally the bread and butter of the crossbow industry. This has the most manufacturers, the widest range of specs and price points, everything. I mean, this bucket is the biggest bucket of all crossbows. You can find something from the most entry level crossbow to the top tier manufacturer high price point crossbow within this bucket. You will find something that meets your needs within this crossbow bucket. Now, with that said, I think one of the drawbacks with it being the most popular, most manufacturers, widest, everything, specs and price point, is the fact that you have so many choices. So as a new crossbow hunter or new crossbow shooter, trying to pick one out of this bucket is tough because there's a ton of them. And another, I would say, disadvantage or drawback is there is newer technology that has kind of surpassed this design that we're going to get into in the next slide. So even though this is the bread and butter of the industry as we see it today, there is newer tech that has surpassed this design. All right, next up is the reverse cam crossbow design. So this is essentially the same thing as a traditional compound crossbow with one big difference, and that is the cams rotate the opposite direction. So your string coming off of the cams when your bow is cocked actually comes from the inside of the bow versus the outside of the bow when you compare it to just the traditional compound design. So some advantages to this are it's a faster platform because you get a longer power stroke within the same platform size. It's actually, I think, safer because the steeper string angle offers less area, less danger zone area for you to get your fingers in the way of the string when you're shooting. And it's a narrower design in general. Your limb to limb or your axle to axle size of this bow is oftentimes quite a bit smaller than the traditional compound crossbow. I'm going to bring a separate image over for you guys and kind of highlight these things that I think will explain the advantages of this bow a little bit better. So on the left here, really quick, this is a reverse cam and reverse limb design. We're going to talk about this one on the next slide. But first, let's touch on the speed, the power stroke aspect. Here's a difference in power stroke between these two bows right here. So this is how much power stroke you are gaining within the same platform size. And if we go over here to this uncocked picture of just a reverse cam crossbow, you can see with the string coming off the inside of the cam versus the outside, you're gaining this much power stroke in this platform size just by having the cams reversed. So very nice feature that provides great benefit just from this power stroke aspect. And when you go back and you look at the string angle on these, check out the string angle on this one. There is not much room at all for you to get your finger up in the danger zone compared to this bow right here. Look at all this space that you can get your finger in here that could potentially cause injury. And if we drew the line over on this one, again, you can see there is just less space when you compare it to the traditional compound crossbow design. And obviously, you guys, you can see axle to axle, it is much narrower when you compare it to the traditional compound crossbow design. Now, some disadvantages to this design is increased serving and string wear. Because of that steeper angle, there's just a steeper angle, to your string inside of your trigger box where your trigger box mechanism is holding your string. It's just bending around that mechanism a little bit tighter. So it's just going to have a little bit more string and serving wear. And this is a little nitpicky, but if your bow doesn't use a sled type of cocking device, if it uses just the traditional rope cocker, sometimes your rope cocker hooks can get pinched between the string and the rail just because that string angle is so narrow and so tight. All right, now we're on to that reverse limb and reverse cam design that you just saw an image of. This not only has the cams reversed, but also, as you can see, the limbs are reversed on this bow. They go the opposite direction, and the riser for those limbs is placed in the middle of the bow instead of out in front of the bow. So again, you get the same reverse cam advantages or benefits, being that it's faster, it's safer, it's narrower with that reverse cam system, but you also get a more balanced feel with this bow, and that is because the riser for the bow and the limbs are placed in the middle of the bow as opposed to out in front. Traditionally, crossbows have a very front heavy feel with the limbs and riser being out in front of the bow, so placing that riser in the middle and reversing the limbs gives you a much more balanced feel in this platform style. And also, guys, this is top of the line technology for pretty much every manufacturer. The fastest bows that they make and the cream of the crop for each different manufacturer is usually in a reverse limb and reverse cam design. Some of the drawbacks to this, again, that same serving and string wear, it's going to be increased because of that steeper string angle coming into your trigger box. And really, guys, the other big drawback is because this is top of the line technology, these bows are often the most expensive bows for each manufacturer. Next, we've got the Bullpup design. So this is another reverse cam crossbow design, but with a very distinct feature in that basically the entire length of the bow is the power stroke of the bow. The string actually comes all the way back and engages with the trigger assembly at the buttstock of the bow. So the big advantages to this bow, guys, again, with the reverse cam design, you get faster, safer, narrower because of those cams. But because the entire length of the bow is essentially the power stroke of the bow, these bows are super, super compact. They are really small, but they have the same length of pull as basically any other crossbow design. And length of pull is the distance from the trigger and the hand grip to the buttstock. So even though these are so small and so compact, with the trigger and the grip positioned dead center in the middle of the bow, the distance from the trigger to the buttstock is the exact same as other bows. So it has a really nice, really balanced feel. It doesn't feel like you're shooting a little bow, even though these things are super small. Some of the drawbacks to these, again, with the reverse cam design, you're going to get that serving and string wear. That's a little bit more than the traditional cam design. These bows are also expensive, just like the reverse limb and reverse cam design. These oftentimes, again, are top of the line technology, cream of the crop for manufacturers. So you're going to pay a pretty decent amount of money for these bows. And to me, the biggest drawback of these, because I actually have one, I have that SWAT X1, is the safety position. So because the string comes back and engages with the trigger assembly or the trigger box mechanism all the way at the buttstock of the crossbow, that is where your safety is. So it's kind of an awkward position to have to switch the safety from the safe to fire position when you're kind of in the heat of the moment, compared to some of the other designs where the safety is positioned right above the trigger. All right, the last design bucket is the unique bucket, and these crossbows really are, I mean, they are cool, but they have some features that just kind of are standalone and set these particular bows apart from basically everything else. So we'll start with Killer Instinct. Their SWAT line of crossbows, like this SWAT X1 that you see here, they actually utilize a barrel instead of a rail. So your bolt is 360 degrees enclosed in a barrel as opposed to the traditional rail design. And what this does, it gives you some added safety benefits with that bolt being completely enclosed in that barrel, and it enhances your accuracy. The Raven R18, I mean, just look at this thing. This is as unique as it gets for a crossbow. The entire design of it is not traditional in how the cam system, the pulley system, the limbs, and how everything operates. I mean, this is an extremely tight, compact, narrow design that is unique on its own. I mean, just looking at it, you can tell this bow is a standalone bow in what it does and the engineering that is behind it. Hickory Creek offers a vertical crossbow, so same limbs and riser, just like a traditional, any of the designs really, but instead of the limbs being horizontal, they're placed vertical, similar to a compound bow. So it gives you that nice, narrow side-to-side profile and puts the limbs up and down instead of left and right. And then Twin Strike, the Excalibur Twin Strike, is a two-shot crossbow. So it has 4 limbs, 2 strings. You can either fire one bolt first, followed up by the second one if you need like a follow-up shot, or you can actually shoot 2 bolts at the same time with this bow. So these bows here, again, very unique features, very standalone features from the rest of the crossbow designs. All right, now that you guys have seen all the different crossbow designs, we're back to that big burning question of what crossbow should you buy? And I'm going to use kind of an analogy for this slide in that crossbows are very much like golf clubs. You really have to answer a couple questions to make sure you pick the right crossbow for you. Those questions are, what feels the best to you? How do you hunt? And then what is your price range? This is kind of just like golf in that you got to get your hands on as many crossbows as you can and try them out. See how they feel, see how it shoots, see how it feels when you shoot it. All those types of things are going to help you pick the right crossbow for you within the price range that you have and basically cater it towards your hunting style. Just like golf, you really got to get your hands on and try as many golf clubs as you can. People have different styles of games and how they play in different skill levels, and there are different golf clubs that are catered to all those different things within tons of different price ranges. And just like golf clubs, guys, with crossbows and with hunting, I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but really no one cares what you shoot. What they care about are your results. If you're successful with a crossbow that you are comfortable with and you are, putting big bucks down or shooting deer consistently, or just a very good shooter out on the target range, that's what people care about. They don't care about the brand or how much you spent on a bow. They care about results. It's the same thing with a golf clubs and a golf bag. If you roll up to a golf course with an old set of golf clubs, yeah, people might look at you or laugh at you for a minute, but then when you put together an awesome golf game and have great results, that's what they care about. They completely forget about what you are using and they are focused on how you performed. It's the exact same way with a crossbow, you guys. Pick what feels best to you. Pick a bow that is catered to the style of hunting that you do and the types of animals that you hunt, and ultimately find the one that is within your price range that ultimately just gives you the most confidence when you're out there either shooting or out in the woods hunting. So thank you guys for tuning in to the first episode of Crossbow 101. I hope you enjoyed. Please hit that like button down below if you did for me, and also hit that subscribe button. We're going to have more Crossbow 101 videos coming to you soon. Remember, be a sportsman, make a sportsman.